Hello, YouTube. Alright, I'm hoping that my little wind muff thing that I put over the microphone is working. Basically, I took some cotton, put it over the microphone, and put a band-aid on it. Let me know how it sounds. If it's too windy, I'm going to stop the broadcast because there's no point if you can't even hear me talk. As you can see, it is fairly deserted out here. I just wanted to kind of show a little bit of what it's like being a van dweller in the middle of this quarantine thing going on with everybody. I kind of semi-quarantine myself in that I'm trying to stay away from people. Unless I absolutely have to go into a store to buy something, I'm staying away from other people. Although I will probably more than likely see my kids this weekend. How's the sound? I'm actually out in the open and it is fairly windy out here right now. Can you guys hear me? Do you hear the wind? I put a temporary wind muff on here. I don't have my my mic. Okay, so sound is okay. Hopefully the wind doesn't hit it and make too much noise. Like I said, I've got a little cotton blocking it, and I hope I blocked the right hole. I think that's the microphone and not the speaker. Unless I covered up the speaker and not the mic. Could be. Did that before. So how's everybody doing? I am out here kind of out self-isolating by going to spots where there aren't a lot of other people. Saw a couple people here, but not too many. I think most people are doing what the government is asking, and that is for them to stay home. Pretty much all the stores are starting to close early. Even Dollar Tree announced they'll be closing, I think, by 6 or 8 p.m. every night. You know, the hours. Stores are limiting their hours. I think to try to reduce people, but also to keep their staff at home. So even Walmart is like, you know, Walmart's no longer 24 hours. So hours are being cut back. Basically, I think an effort to try to get people to stay home instead of out and about. Sadly, for van dwellers, yeah, we really don't have a choice, and that means bathroom locations and stuff can become an issue. So I started to look at new locations, things to keep in mind. Some parks, at least for now, they're still open. Like this particular bathroom here is actually pretty clean and actually has toilet paper. It's one of the reasons I don't freak out too much. Most of the public bathrooms still have toilet paper. Of course, as soon as I say this, people come in here and steal it. But most of the public bathrooms have toilet paper. And of course, I have toilet paper at work, so you know, it's not like I have a shortage of toilet paper. The issue, though, will be this: because Walmarts and stuff are no longer 24 hours. That means if you have an emergency at night, yeah, you're gonna have to figure out a way to do the duty in your van. So I'm looking at options here. You know, what I've been trying to do is go to the bathroom before calling it a night. That way, you know, hopefully the chance of having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night doesn't come up. Okay? Because before, if it happened, I would just get up and go inside a store like Walmart or whatever, a 24-hour place or a gas station or something, and use their bathroom. But a lot of gas stations are shutting their bathrooms. I know the gas stations at Walmart no longer allow people to use their bathrooms. They lock them up. So that's kind of a problem for van dwellers. You know, unless you have a van that is decked out with your own bathroom. For guys, it's not too bad for number one. But number two, I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to have to get a bucket or something. So you might see me building another little toilet, emergency toilet for Little Blue. You know, I built so many of them, and I actually gave away. Do you guys remember the little portable one that I had, the camping one? I gave that one away to Donald. So at this point right now, you know, the RV has a bathroom, but I'm not in the RV. I'm only in the RV usually on the weekends when I get access to it, and I take it out and, you know, go, I guess, bug out in it. But during the weekdays when I have to go to work and stuff, because the RV can't be used, you know, the rules here are so messed up. I have an RV that I could live in, but they won't let me live in it. You can't legally live in that thing I mean, you can legally live in it, but they won't let you park somewhere and just live there. So you gotta, you gotta pay for parking. You gotta pay for the RV park and all this other stuff. I don't know if the wind is affecting the sound here, but basically, I'm gonna have to build a little cheap, quickie portaloo, or whatever you want to call it, just for emergency, and it has to be easily accessible from within the minivan. So I might try to do that today, maybe after I do this broadcast, because I might want to go to the store before they close. Most places are closing now so early that you want to kind of get there before they shut down, because once they shut down, you don't have access. And also, I might want to go there before it's dark, so that I can get the stuff, kind of prepare it. I don't think it'll take that long to prepare. Basically, I think a bucket will do. So I can't really use like a 5-gallon bucket because there's no room in the minivan. And also, I'm thinking maybe I want it to be somewhat comfortable. I don't know if you've seen my van builds. The toilet tends to not be just a bucket. Although right now I don't have the time and stuff really to build a full-blown system. So I'm debating how far I want to take it. Maybe just a small little unit, or maybe even buy one that's already pre-made. I don't know. Thinking about it. Thinking about what to do. And obviously it would be used for emergency, like in the middle of the night, if I can't get out, if I can't go somewhere, which normally was never an issue when you're kind of urban stealth camping. You can just go to an open gas station, 24-hour gas station, and use their restroom. But they're all closing. There's very few places now that are open 24 hours. And if you're a van dweller, that means the resources that you were using before, they're no longer available. So honestly, if I didn't have to work, if I wasn't an urban van dweller, if I had freedom of not working right now, I probably would park my van somewhere, get in the RV, and just bug out. Because the RV has all the stuff to support life easily. The van does too, but not as comfortably. So those are your options. If you had a van or something, you could possibly go out somewhere in the middle of nowhere, or you could stay in the city. You have the access to your bathroom and everything else, as long as once a week or something, you could pull into an RV park, get it for one night or something, pay for their camping for one night, dump all your stuff, refill with water, get your battery systems and stuff all charged back up. So you could possibly do that if you had an RV. You can't really do it in a van because they don't allow you to pay for camping in the van. Now, what you could do to try to get away with it is you get a tent. You get a little, pop-up tent. And you rent a parking campground spot, and you camp there in your van. But if you're in a van, you don't really need that anyways. The only reason you would really want to camp in an RV park or a campground is if you have an RV and you need to dump all your stuff. So if I had my choice, if I was free right now, I would just travel. That's what I would do. I mean, not travel to go to cities and meet people and stuff like that, but out in the middle of nowhere. And maybe even stay out there a week or two. Just go out to the Everglades or something, somewhere where there aren't people. Like here, there's no people. You can see I am literally the only person out here, because I'm out in a conservation area where there aren't anyone, and with everyone being on lockdown. It's almost like being in a movie where the whole city is deserted. I just saw some pictures on social media showing Las Vegas. Can you believe that? They shut down Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Strip is shut down. All those hotels and stuff, everything's shut down. That is just unbelievable. But it's really weird. I was talking about it with some of my coworkers. It's like coworkers. And it's almost like being in a movie. It's surreal. But also, it's like a movie that we don't know how long this movie's going to last. And I started thinking, some of you are wondering my situation, saw me breathing that water. You can see I'm cleared up now. I'm walking. I'm not out of breath, although I am a little bit out of breath. But I've always been like that. But I think if I really had any issues with coronavirus, breathing and stuff would be a terrible problem if you had to walk this distance. But anyhow, what happened? I'm going to tell you the sequence and how I can see how messed up things really are. I didn't even know this was here, so you're seeing this for the first time with me. Evidently, a little walk path here. So we're going to go on it because I like going out on little walk paths. So anyhow, and there are people here fishing. So evidently there's fishing out here. It's a conservation area with fishing. And I don't know if it's a whole walking path, but there is actually water here. Oh, it connects to the river. Didn't know that. How interesting is this? I'm not going to go through there because I think the other side just goes alongside the parking lot. But there's a little, I guess you would call this like a lagoon, and there are people back here fishing. So some people are taking advantage of the time to go fishing, which I think is good. If nothing else, I think people are getting an opportunity right now to return to nature as far as not watching football or basketball and stuff all day long, but actually getting out and doing physical things. But at the same time, you got to try not to go where there are other people. Big groups, you know. So as long as they haven't totally locked everything down, this is it, you know. For me, trying to hang out at parks and areas where there aren't other people. This is my lockdown. I know a lot of people who have houses and stuff right now are stuck. They have to go to their house, and that's where they're supposed to stay. Because if they go out, they're missing the whole point. Van dwellers, on the other hand, were kind of lucky but unlucky. You know, it's like, where are you going to go? You're in your van. Now, you could spend your whole time sitting in a parking lot in your van, and if you're doing that right now, it's kind of sad. So I would say look around your area, wherever you are, Google local parks near me, and try to find parks like this that have nobody. So, you know, most people won't be out at the parks right now because getting out and walking around is foolish, okay? They have a nice home where they can stay with air conditioning and a bathroom and a kitchen and everything. You, on the other hand, if you're in your van, this is it. Yeah, a lot of people are getting infected around here. That's the reason I went in to get checked. So let me tell you my story of my coronavirus scare and what happened, even though I don't think I had it. If you guys recall, 2 weeks ago, I was actually in Miami. But I wasn't just in Miami. I was at Miami International Airport because I had to drop somebody off to the airport. And I walked through, let me try to find a place to sit out of the wind. And we'll just keep walking here until I find a place. So I was at Miami International Airport, which puts me at like one of the hot spots where people were coming in that were contaminated. But at the time, nobody knew. Okay. So my work, they knew that. Everybody knew that. But nobody had any concerns at that time. Because this whole coronavirus scare, this whole panic, this whole thing just started within the last couple of days, that it fully went 1,000 times more, I guess, more red zone than it was before, okay? So what happened was this. I came back, of course, I felt fine. I went to work and everything. All the job places, they send out these notices saying if you're not feeling well, you should stay home rather than risk coming into work and getting everybody sick. You know, because that's what you do during the flu season and stuff, which is what it is. And I want to talk about that later because I have an idea that's probably going to make a lot of people think I'm nuts. You know, but I'm going to talk about it here in just a moment. But what happened was I came back, didn't really have any of the symptoms. Then we had a staff meeting the other day, okay, last Monday, I think it was. And they were mentioning, you know, that, you know, if we have any symptoms or anything. But see, sometimes I think psychologically when people tell you if you have symptoms, what do they call you? What are those people that get sick when they, you know, people talk about getting sick? And I'm normally not one of those, so I'm like, you know, I don't want to be, I'm not sick, I'm fine. Well, on Tuesday morning, I woke up in my van coughing, you know, uncontrollably almost, with a dry cough. And I had this humongous headache, like a huge migraine. And that was some of the symptoms. And I was like, okay, I'm not showing all the symptoms. I don't think I have a fever. But sometimes when you have a fever, it's hard to tell if you have a fever. So you need a thermometer, which is now impossible to get. Although, you know, if you followed along, I did eventually get one at Dollar Tree's last month they had. So what happened was I texted my boss and told him, hey, I'm not feeling 100%. So I'm not going to go into work today because I don't want to infect people. And I'm going to contact the VA. Yeah, hypochondriac. And I'm normally not a hypochondriac, but I'm like, well, given the gravity of the situation and my job, which is sensitive, you'll notice they still want me there. Because I know it's hard to believe that this person you've been following in this job of a janitor is actually kind of important right now where I work. Okay, because I'm the one that's the front line. I'm the one that's there trying to keep the whole place clean so if there's an infection, it doesn't spread. And we're trying to keep things under control so that if something happens, the whole place doesn't get wiped out, which happens when you have a group of people all working in a confined space. So I'm the one that has to try to keep everybody safe. And that's the reason I'm still working, even though normally in a given situation like this, I would not be working at all right now. I would be sitting in my room all locked up or out here in the woods by myself, or out at a park with nobody, not making any human contact except to get food. But with the situation the way it went down, I let my boss know I wasn't coming in. Then I contacted the VA. So I contacted the triage nurse at the VA, and then they told me that, well, they started asking all the questions. Like, one of the first questions they asked me is if I'm like 80 years old or whatever, if I'm a senior citizen, like, 70, 80 years old. That's one of their criteria for testing you. You have to be like a senior citizen pretty much. And the second thing they want to know is if you've been on an airplane, like especially one that went overseas, or if you've been on a cruise that went overseas. So if you don't meet those criteria, they will not test you. Okay, so at least here in America, I don't know, we're in Florida, Space Coast. So what happened was I told them, no, I don't have that, but I was at Miami International Airport before all hell broke loose. So, I'm just notifying you guys just in case. And I also need to let you know that I'm working, in a very important position where I have to be at work, because if I don't go into work, it causes a major problem, So the nurse there, the triage nurse says, well, don't go into the clinic, don't go to the hospital, because if you go there, it's already packed with people. But not only that, you could end up getting something, because the people that are there, they're not telling people to go there until they're pretty much dying. And they're telling them to go to the emergency room, which is what they ended up telling me later. But so at that point, they said, don't go in there. They would contact my doctor, my VA doctor, and have them get back with me. So I was like, okay. So I need to let my boss know what's going on. So I contacted my boss, and I was able to get the thermometer at that time, and I told him my temperature. And I said, look, I haven't had a temperature. Symptoms aren't as bad now as they were in the morning when I woke up. I'm still not 100%, but I think I'm okay. He says, well, if your temperature's low, which it was like, it was like 98.5, which is like normal. So, and I haven't had a temperature in the, the last 2 weeks or whatever. I haven't had any temperature here. You guys know I'm usually fairly healthy. So what happened was they said, well, if you're feeling up to it, go ahead and come on in and just monitor your temperature throughout the day. If you feel weak or feel, like out of breath, or feel like you have a temperature, then, leave. So I went in late and I finished all my job, cleaning and trying to sterilize everything. Then that afternoon, I got a telephone call from the nurse from the VA hospital. And she said to me, they had no kits available to test me, And then I said, so what am I supposed to do? She says, well, you should quarantine yourself. I said, I can't quarantine myself, because if I quarantine myself, I actually jeopardize something major. Because without going into too much details, let me put it this way. Even though it's hard to believe, I know you guys are finding it hard to believe, I'm in a very kind of important position, okay? Even though it's just a janitor. But because of where I am and what I'm doing and stuff, it's very sensitive. So what happened was They ended up telling me, and she didn't order any. She says, well, my recommendation, the CDC, is that you quarantine yourself, self-quarantine. I was like, well, I'm going to have to check with my boss because this has to, basically it has to do with the United States. Okay, the kind of stuff I'm involved with is at that level. So then I called them. I contacted my boss, and they said, well, if you're not showing the symptoms and stuff and your temperature is still low, it's probably like, like they believe, like I believe, it could be allergies, because I don't know if you see all the plants and trees here in Florida, they blow stuff out and people get allergic and you cough. It causes that coughing and other stuff, other issues like that. So I've been monitoring my temperature, and we decided to go ahead and let me stay home one day just to monitor it and see what happens. And I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and take the, that's when that, on Facebook, somebody sent me a link showing how they were indicating that heat at 132 degrees will kill the coronavirus. That's according to, I think, WHO, the World Health Organization. So they were saying that the coronavirus doesn't like heat. It can't survive above 132 degrees. It dies, literally dies right in its track. So they were experimenting with using hot air hair dryer and, spritzing your face with water and, blowing the hot air, blocking it so it would get hot, like above 132 degrees. And you kind of breathe a little bit of that hot air in and then spritz your face with cold water so you don't cook your face. I was like, well, that may work, because they were saying like the numbers in hotter areas, like around the Africa and the deserts and stuff like that, the number of cases appear to be low. So it may be related to the heat, the fact that transmission is not occurring in those places because the virus is dying. They were guessing. And then I extrapolated from that and said, well, when I was a kid, and some of you who are my age will recall, they used to have room humidifiers, the vapor machines that would heat up hot water, and you added like Vicks vapor rub, and it would create the vapor in your room, and that menthol smell, and you breathe it to clear your congestion. Well, anyone with any sense knows that to boil water, it has to get to a certain temperature. So I was looking up the water boiling point, how hot it gets before water boils, and found out that water boils at about 215 degrees Fahrenheit, which is more than 132 degrees that you need to kill the coronavirus. So I was like, well, why don't we take that idea of making hot water vapors and just breathing that into our lungs, similar to what they're saying with the hot air, that it might do it. And if you could sustain that for a while and breathe that in without burning yourself, you might be able to kill the virus right in your nasal passages, right up your sinuses and stuff like that, because that's where it kind of lives. And that's why when you cough or sneeze, that's how the flu and the coronavirus generally spread, okay? And you're like, well, what about the whole hand thing cleaning? Well, when you cough and sneeze, droplets of the virus land on things, and people put it on their hands when they touch it. Then they scratch their eyes or rub their nose or touch their mouth or eat food, and it gets into their system. And then it goes up the nasal passages and starts affecting there. So that's how that gets transmitted. So anyhow, I ended up saying that if I could breathe that in, but then you had to kind of control that. And I was like, well, if you're a van dweller, and not only that, I'm sure most of those water vapor thingies are probably all sold out, because a lot of people who are my age would probably grab those automatically. Getting any medical supplies in any of the stores right now is virtually impossible. Like even thermometers, even toilet paper, even paper towels, things like that are just not there. Matter of fact, I just put up 280,000 face masks, for sale, and they're already gone from the wholesale place that I was working at, or am working at. But anyhow, that's a whole nother thing that we might do some stories on. But basically, any medical supplies, any medical things are virtually impossible to get. So I was like, well, hospitals are generally sending people home without testing because they don't have enough kits. And then they just send them home without any medical stuff. They're like, just go home and take it easy and rest, drink lots of fluid. And if the symptoms worsen and you feel like you're dying, go to the ER. That's pretty much the answer they give you. Not just me, but anybody else who called because they were concerned about spreading it, said, hey, I'm displaying some of the symptoms or all of the symptoms. And the first question is, are you a citizen? Have you been on an airplane? Have you been on a cruise? Well, and if you haven't been those, they won't test you. They want you at the point of where you are literally dying, and then you go into the ER, and then they might test you. And so that's why I think the count in America is like way off, and why you're seeing the spread go rampant, because people who may have it are still walking around spreading it. I'm hoping I'm not one of them. I don't think I'm one of them because I don't really have all the symptoms, and I haven't had the fever at all. I feel fine. The coughing, as you can see, has stopped. It only came up that one day, and there was a lot of pollen in the air that day. But long story short, they send you home, and you're left to just sit there and get worse. No medical stuff. And if you wanted to pick up stuff to alleviate your cold or your flu, good luck. I don't know if you've gone to Walmart, Albertsons, whatever, all the CVS, all the drugstores. Nobody has anything. So you're kind of left on your own, and that's why I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to show people how to decongest themselves and possibly kill the coronavirus. No guarantees or anything. And do it in such a way that I think would be safer than using the hot air gun, that blow dryer, and trying to blow hot air from the blow dryer up your nose. I think that's a little dangerous, especially if you have to do it with a kid. So I was like, well, we'll go off the water vapor method, which is what I had as a kid, but we didn't breathe it directly unless, you were really having a hard time breathing. I don't know if you guys recall being a kid and your parent sticking you in front of that thing with the hot water, basically the steam coming up into your face with the Vicks mixed in, the vapor rub. That's what made me think of it. And I was like, well, we could put vapor rub in it, but that kind of adds a cooling sensation. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it with water. And if you're a van dweller, you're going to be very limited, or even if you're in a house, you're going to be very limited in what you have. Let's go with what you already have. So that's going to be a little pot, and then put some water in it and heat it up. But if you have steam coming up out of the whole pot, that's hard to control, and it will probably burn your face. So then I was like, so how do you control that? Well, the rice cooker automatically has a little tiny hole. So that is very directed. So basically you boil water in it, and the water will heat up and become water vapor at 215 degrees. So the water rises at 215 degrees, goes out the hole at 215 degrees, and immediately starts to cool down. So you put your nose right over it, and you're breathing in that hot steam. And some people are like, you can't stand 215 degrees. Well, by the time it hits your nose, it's already dropped a lot of degrees. I'm just hoping it's still above 132 degrees. And if it's too hot, you can feel it. Just move back a little bit. Don't put your face there and cook your face. That's stupid. But with it coming out a tiny little hole, you can control it going up your nostril, literally, which is what I was doing. And I was breathing, and I was also inhaling it into my mouth, trying to get that hot heat in there without cooking myself, because it is hot. It was hot. I could feel it. And it was literally clearing up my sinuses as I was doing that. I don't know if you guys could tell that. My sinuses and everything's all clear. I'm not having trouble breathing right now. And I may do that treatment again if I need it. Might even do it this weekend, even though I don't need it, just to play it safe, because I do think it works, even though people are saying, this is pseudoscience, this is dangerous. So you're telling people to just go sit home and wait and let their symptoms worsen with nothing to do. I'm saying get some water, make some steam, and go back to the old school of what our parents used to do, which is they would run that stuff and they would put Vicks in it so it could clear your system. But if we know that heat, according to the WHO, can kill it, let's try it. It's worth a shot. And, since I did it, I'm 100% better. But I will tell you some follow-up things that I did. I'm running out of battery, so I'm going to have to leave here and shut down because I got like 10% battery charge. But basically, I got to do it so the wind doesn't blow. I hope you guys can hear me here. So I'm going to stand here again until it shuts off. But basically, I did it. It works. I also told people how to do it if you don't have a rice cooker. If you just have a pot and a metal lid, you can punch a little hole with a nail, drill a little hole in the lid. And that way you can control the amount of the steam coming up. Should be one little stream of steam so that you can actually control that it goes up your nostril, and don't put your nose right on it. You'll burn, you'll cook. but put it close enough that you can breathe it in, and you'll feel the heat, and you'll still feel the congestion, and the relief happens like right away, like right when you finish the treatment. You, I don't know if you guys could tell, I was like 100% better right when I finished. But to follow it up, what I did was I went to a shower. I had access to a hot shower, and I took like a 10, 15, 20-minute hot shower with it, not cooking me, but I had it on fairly hot enough where steam was rising in the bathroom, in a little stall that I was in. So I was breathing in some more of that steam to try to clear out my sinuses to the point where my nose was dripping from the steam going in, and I blew that all out. Then to top it off, I was like, well, I don't know what this whole thing is. It could just be I had food poisoning or something. I don't know. Remember, I always tell you to carry Imodium AD, anti-diarrhea or whatever, or the equivalent of Imodium, the gel caps. I went ahead and took one gel cap just to play it safe, to settle my tummy, because that actually has hydrochloric acid in it. And that's what kills the bacterial infection that causes you to have diarrhea or whatever. So I took one of those, and since then, like this morning I woke up feeling 100% better. I mean, I felt fine since yesterday, and I've been feeling fine since. I haven't really coughed. I coughed maybe once or twice, but it's like a normal cough. It's not like a continuous cough. I'm not out of breath. I'm back to, being healthy again. And that's why I shared that. I shared it not saying that it will actually do anything, but it worked for me, and it is something you can try if nothing else works. Now, somebody did post a comment on that posting saying they had pneumonia, really severe pneumonia, and nothing was working for them. And when they tried it, it worked. They added Vicks into the fluid. Some people were concerned that I was using a rice cooker. They're like, you're breathing dirty rice into your nostrils. You should use distilled water. I don't think you understand how it works. When you boil water, the water is distilled. When you boil the water and it goes up as steam, that water is pretty much pure. It's distilled already. That's how they make distilled water. They boil water. So when that water comes up to you, it is pretty much pure water vapor. Okay? Unless you had like gasoline or something in it, then that might come up too. But pretty much all I had in there was rice and water. So I'm breathing rice, okay? But really, most of what was going up into me was hot water, steam, air, water and air, hot. Not boiling hot, well, actually literally boiling hot, but it was cooled down a little bit by the time it entered me because I didn't burn myself. Somebody had posted that you could burn yourself and that could cause an infection, and it's all true. So I say be careful, don't burn yourself. That's why I suggest having the little hole that you can control and stand back and then get closer until you can feel the heat and it doesn't burn you. It should not be to the point where you feel like you're burning yourself. Some people have suggested using the vape machine, the vaping machine, not vaping machine, but the vapor machines that they sell in the pharmaceutical side of the stores. That should work just as well. It blows, what it's doing is boiling water and making water into steam. That means it's 215 degrees. And if you can take in that heat without burning yourself, you're potentially killing the virus. And then blow your nose afterwards, into a paper towel and throw that away, or flush it down the toilet, because there may be virus in there. So it might seem like it's stupid that might work, and it might really work. To me, it's just boggling if this actually does work and no one else is doing it, or the doctors haven't told people to do this, which I don't understand, because it could be something really simple. And I know some people think that because it wasn't all flashy, it didn't look like a clean video, it didn't look like it was put together by a medical facility or anything, it wouldn't work. Well, I don't know if it works or it doesn't. I can only tell you it worked for me. The person who posted saying they had pneumonia, really bad pneumonia, it cleared them up. That's what they said. I don't know who that person is, but it's just something you can do if you don't have any other options and other things aren't working, And I would say if you can do it the earlier, when you have any symptoms of the flu or anything like that, the cold or the flu, don't feel well, try it if you have access to that stuff, because it might stop it from getting worse, like in my case. So I'm back at work, continuing to monitor my temperature every day. I'm trying to, even at work, everyone has that whole social distancing thing going on right now, trying to stay away from each other. But, I have to be there every day because the job is actually critical. And, most places are shut down. Ours isn't, if that lets you know that we have to work. Certain jobs, like the medical people, they have to work. Even the food service people, they have to work. And where I have to work, I have to work. So it's one of those jobs that is kind of critical. So, but when I'm not there, like you can see, this is where I kind of put myself. I don't really want to sit in a parking lot and get depressed watching all the people just rushing to fight over toilet paper. That just doesn't make any sense. But the other thing I wanted to point out that might make you feel a little bit better, although it puts me as one of those people that I say are what do they call them, conspiracy theory people. I want to point out several things, okay, that might calm you for those of you who get really nervous and stuff, although I don't hear them here. I want to point out, but they're not here making noises. But typically when you get up in the morning, step outside, okay, if you're by wooded area, and listen to the birds, okay? If you can still hear birds singing and chirping, and you can still see squirrels running and animals running, it's not the end of the world. Okay, and these animals and stuff, they don't have toilet paper, they don't have the Vicks Vapor Rub or any of this stuff, and for them, life is just normal. Which means that this whole thing may be one big scare, and sometimes I look at it and I'm like, you know what? There was a big trend that was going on in social media for people to become anti-vaccination and anti-pharmaceutical. But if you walk into any store right now, all those shelves are completely empty of the medicines put out by the pharmaceutical companies. And soon they will have a vaccine for the coronavirus, and people are going to line up to take shots for this so-called virus. Now, here's what's interesting about this virus, okay? They are not testing people. They're only testing the ones that are almost dead. The symptoms can be non-existent, so you can have it and not have any of the symptoms and be spreading it. Or they are just like the cold and the flu during the flu and cold season. I don't know about you guys, but that to me seems like misdirection. It's like I used to be a magician, and you would tell people, in your little spiel where to look, and everybody would look where you tell them to look. Meanwhile, the trick is actually happening where they're not looking. So I ask you this, who is benefiting from all this? If you look at the numbers, just the sheer numbers, when they talk about the number of dead and all that, the people dying, the coronavirus is killing less than the regular flu from our flu seasons. Way less. But the coronavirus caused the whole nation to shut down. Not just this nation, but the whole world to shut down. So I was looking at it, and, they want to blame China, and they want to say all this. But I'm going to tell you, as a magician, if I was trying to distract people, I would point it at the place that I want people to look at, because they would believe that it actually is happening over there, but not show you where it's really coming from. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a distraction. So I do question it. I'm not normally a conspiracy theorist, but looking at the situation, you have a disease that's invisible that you're not testing the people for, but you're telling them all they have it and they need to quarantine, and people are doing it, and people are dying. Maybe from this disease, maybe not. Maybe just from the flu. There's a lot of stuff about this whole situation that to me is sending up flags left and right. Because the symptoms are invisible. Think about it. The whole world has shut down on a so-called brand new virus that we don't know anything about, that has symptoms that we can't tell apart from the regular cold and flu. And some people don't even carry the symptoms. And there wasn't any way to test for it. And we all need to shut down and just shut ourselves down. And we need to listen to the government and do whatever they tell us. Okay? So what I'm telling you right now is just pay attention to this. I'm not saying go out and mix with people, because this could be happening. It could be the end of the world, as people are thinking right now. Some people think it is the end of the world. Wow, this is really pretty here. Isn't this pretty? This is a pretty little spot. Oh, an alligator. No, I'm kidding. But could be. There's something there. If it starts growling, that's an alligator. They growl. Okay? So, yeah, there's water here, so there could be an alligator back there. And my battery's about to run out. So it'll probably shut off. I'm going to shut off here in a second because battery's running out. But just wanted to tell you, if you can hear the birds and the animals and stuff, and they're all going about their normal life, the world is not ending. And they're doing fine without toilet paper. they're doing fine without the cough drops, whatever it is that you're trying to go to the store for. Keep that in mind, and it might ground you back and make you not freak out. Try to avoid people and the media and all these people that are telling you stuff. They're telling you to panic. So try not to believe everything they tell you, even though for safety, I would obviously stay away from other people because you really don't know. And there apparently are, but I haven't really seen anyone personally other than what they're telling me. They're telling me a bunch of people are dying, but I haven't really seen anyone that I know. Do you know what I'm saying? Although some people are saying, well, some people that I know may have it. Well, it's like the flu. Well, some people say it's not like the flu anymore. It's a lot more elaborate and stuff. But if you understand what I'm saying, people get infected with stuff. And then if they wait until they're pretty much dead, what's the point? What's the point in getting a diagnosis if they can't really treat you? And what's the point in getting their diagnosis if they can't tell you what to do if you do have it, other than just stay away from other people so you don't get it? You know, it's a way of controlling people. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I really started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? This sounds like a big, huge magic act. Somebody has pulled off the world's biggest magic act. Does that mean I'm going to go around to intermingle with people and stuff? No. Maybe they're not putting on a magic act, but I sure as hell am keeping my eye open. But not only that, you know, I've kind of seen what the system can do and has done even to me. So I don't exactly trust the system, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is amazing, the response that the world has had to this, and the panic, and people fighting over toilet paper and stocking up on guns and bullets and all that, as if it is the end of the world. Prior to this, they were running all those zombie movies, all those disaster movies, prepping people for this, conditioning humans so that when they release this, and this might even be a test. There was a test that was conducted kind of on accident. If any of you played World of Warcraft, do you remember that disease that occurred in that instance, in that dungeon run? It infected a few players, and it was supposed to go away when they left the dungeon, but it didn't. So then when they went into Stormwind and, you know, all the other cities and stuff like that, eventually the entire server pretty much got infected, including people who barely play. They just log in a little bit. But basically, because of the way humans interact, even on a game character, they behave kind of like real world people, like walking to Walmart and stuff. All they had to do was get within a certain distance, and then they got infected. They had a random chance of getting infected, just like a real virus. And I heard that like the CDC and all these other people were studying it. Like they were studying the effects of what happens in a viral situation. And I'm seeing those same effects, the same kind of reactions happening in real world now, not a video game. So, you know, it makes me question the whole thing. I will do what the government is suggesting because I really don't have a choice. They're closing all the stores. They're closing they're closing everything. So, you know, you gotta, and they're gonna have curfew. They're gonna have all these things where the government has more control again. And people are scared. And it starts to make me really, really wonder what the hell is actually going on. Because the birds are still singing and the squirrels are still hungry. Anyhow, my battery's out. I'm gonna let you guys go. Stay safe, be calm, connect with nature, try to avoid groups of people. All right, everybody, stay safe. Stay safe, okay? Stay away from people. Even if this thing is fabricated or whatever, it's still a good idea to stay away from big crowds anyways. It's stuff you should be doing anyways. Wash your hands. You know, and the reason you're washing your hands is so you don't touch your nose or your eyes and stuff and spread whatever germs you have on your hands. But stay safe. If you need toilet paper, Dollar Tree, most of them will have it. You have to go up and ask the manager, and they will give you one, you know, 4 for $1, or 1 for $1, whatever it is. I don't know, whatever. I had a pack of 4, I think, for $1. I think that's what he sold it to me for. So anyhow, if you need toilet paper, you can check by asking the manager at Dollar Tree. They may have it in stock in the back room. They don't put it out because people fight each other over toilet paper, which to me is ridiculous, you know, but that's what people are doing. So if you need that, get that. The other thing that you might want to try to get if you still can have it in your area I suggest getting the Imodium anti-diarrhea or the Equate anti-diarrhea. And you're like, why would you get that? Because food might become a situation where you might have to eat stuff that could possibly make you sick. So, you know, and if you're not feeling well, I wouldn't take it every day. But if you're eating questionable food or you're afraid you might get sick, pop one of those pills. Don't do it all the time. That stuff is poison. It's hydrochloric acid. Okay, but it will actually settle your tummy and kill any bacteria or any virus that's inside your tummy. And, you know, hopefully alleviate the issues. As for me, I'm going to head back to my van and possibly try to go to Walmart or Home Depot or whatever to figure out what I'm going to do about my toilet situation. Because even though there's a nice toilet here, which I'm going to try to use, I'm going to have to prepare an emergency one for the van just in case I wake up at 2 a.m., you know, because Walmart's and the gas stations and whatnot, none of the stores are open anymore. And you might be stuck in your van having to do something. Take care, everybody. Be safe, man. And don't let them get to you. Do not let them get to you. Get out, listen to the birds, feel the breeze of the wind. It's nice and windy on me right now. Reconnect with nature. The animals aren't scared. Why is that? Why are the animals not scared? So, be like the animals. Don't be scared. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye now. Be safe. Thank you, Just Me.